Hi guys, it's been a very long time since my last video, and that's because I was super tired of making videos because I had no more time to actually play video games, and all I did was make crappy videos and edit, and those videos would only be watched by like 10 people or something. So I grew kind of tired of it. I'm gonna restart, but in a different kind of way. I'm just gonna add some text to some photos. That means I'm hopefully less nervous to actually make a video, and you guys will enjoy the quality of the photos, and you can see all the games that I bought. I'm gonna start with the games that I bought in Japan. Will be a compilation of all stuff I bought from February up till now. Maybe I'll cut it into two videos if it turns out to be too long. But I'm gonna start with my purchases from in Japan from the 1st till the 15th or 14th February 2015. Hope you guys enjoy. So this is the first night we arrived in Japan, or the first 2 nights I guess, in Osaka, Japan. We went to a couple of local computer stores, video game stores like the Super Potato. I picked up the Sufami adapter and the Saturn 4-player adapter and a couple of PC Engine games. And then later on at the couple of game stores like Game Titan and the A2, picked up some more PC Engine and PlayStation 1 games. The PlayStation 1 games, I think they all come from Bukov. As the photo is pretty bad, but you can see a lovely copy of Radiant Silvergun on the Sega Saturn there. That's my friend Mike picked it up in, I forgot where he picked it up, but it was only 5,600 yen, which is roughly a third of the eBay price. So that comes around to 60 euros, 50 euros at the time, and that's actually the new price, so I'm okay with paying that. I even think it includes the spine card, I'm not sure anymore. The game has been in my system for the last couple of months, so I'm certainly enjoying that 60 euros. Other games of note here are, well, not really many games. Of course, Curse on the Mega Drive. That's a pretty big game. Hopefully the next picture will have better quality. So after Osaka, I went to visit a friend of mine in Itami. I scored really big there. As you can see on this picture, I went to a book off and I went to a hard off. So only two stores, but two great stores. As you can see on this picture, you see Iron Commando, which is a very expensive video game. I sold it later on, which I'll explain later. And you can also see the PCFX here, paid I think 5,000 euros for it. 5,000 euros, what am I saying? 5,000 yen, which includes a game and it works perfectly. Also the Neo Geo PlayStation 2 pad was only around 300 to 400 yens, I forgot the exact amount. The Sega Saturn gun and Virtua Cop are super cheap at hard offs. I think they go around 100 yen, so it was 1 euro. You can also see Yoshi's Cookie here, I paid 300 yen, Hammering Harry, Kirby on the 64, Truxton, which I already have, but you know, if you see a card like that for cheap amount, you just gotta pick it up. Kurukurin, the stick turning game for Game Boy Advance, and then River City Ransom, Final Fight, and also, of course, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is for a friend of mine. On this picture, you can clearly see my Nintendo GameCube, which I bought for 300 yens at the Tsutaya, which is super cheap, 2 to 3 euros. I already have a Spicy Orange GameCube, bought it when it came out in Japan, but I didn't have the Game Boy player yet. So I resold the GameCube at a game store and kept the controller and the Game Boy player. So now I have two Spicy Orange controllers and a nice matching Game Boy player. On this picture you also have a clear shot at the PCFX, and you can also see the size of it compared to a GameCube. So these are my pickups from Itami, Japan. Hope you guys enjoyed. So after I went to Itami, I met up with my traveling partners once again, and we went to Kyoto. There at the A2, I bought a controller for the PC FX and another game, Battle Heat, and also I think Panzer Dragoon 2. And at the book off, I bought Design Plus, Gradius Gaiden, Mr. Driller G, Valis 3 for the Mega Drive, Hazel 2 for the Mega Drive, Rockman 64, Mega Man 64. I don't know how to pronounce the name of that other game, and Project Horns all. Also, this PCFX game was only 2 or 300 yens at the book off, so that's why I also picked it up. Overall, some nice finds in Kyoto. We were actually just planning to visit some temples, but most of the time we went game hunting, of course. So after Kyoto, we went to Nagoya, where a friend of mine lives. So we met up with her, went to the aquarium, and then went to the game buying districts. And it was in Nagoya that I sold my copy of Iron Commando for 55,000 yen. This picture is actually taken in Tokyo, where they were actually advertising that you could sell them your copy of Iron Commando for 55,000 yen. Remember, I paid 250 yen for this game. It's a European developed beat 'em up, which only came out in Japan at the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan. So it was sold in limited copies, and because it's a European game, probably didn't have that many followers, so it's super duper rare right now. I found it boxed and minty complete in Itami, and I guess it wasn't even ever played. It was just old store stock or something that was sold at this book off. So the guy in the shop was kind of suspicious of me when I came there to sell the rarest Super Famicom game. So they screwed open the cartridge, checked if it wasn't bootleg. They controlled the cardboard of the box, the manual, everything to see I wasn't selling them some fake. But in the end, they paid me out 55,000 yen and cash in my hand. So I guess that was pretty amazing. I doubt you get that sort of treatment somewhere else in the world. So on to my pickups of Nagoya. As you can see on this picture, I had 55,000 yen in my hand, so I was actually a bit more eager to spend some money. So I bought the second most expensive or third most expensive PCFX game, Chip Can, which is a sort of bubble style platformer. I was going to buy Zeroigar, but at almost 200 euros for a copy, it's just too steep, and it's not that great of a shoot 'em up. I also bought the amazing Elemental Master for the Mega Drive, and then a whole lot of cool PC engine games. You can see Gradius, Download, which Download is a game that was recommended to me by my friend Mike. And if you can have a PC engine, really, guys, pick that shooter up because it's amazing. I see other awesome games, some not so awesome. For example, Rock On is a bad shooter, but you know, I just need every shooter on the PC engine. Um, Also, the amazing pinball game Alien Crush. You also see the Super Famicom cartridge is an SD fighter game for the Sufami Turbo, and below that is Texter, which is a game that I loved on my Macintosh Classic back in the day. It was actually the only sort of arcade console style game that I had for the Macintosh, and I remember playing it summers on end because it's actually a pretty good game. I don't know, I haven't played the Famicom version yet because it was super cheap. I doubt it'd be as good as the computer version. Well, these are my pickups for Nagoya. Well, after Nagoya, we went to Tokyo, and of course, we bought a lot of stuff there. I don't seem to have taken pictures whilst being in Tokyo, but in this big picture, which I took afterwards when returning from Japan, there's a lot of stuff bought in Tokyo. People say that you cannot find anything anymore in Akihabara, which to a certain degree is true. You won't find any many cheap deals there anymore. But if you want something really specific, like a boxed Virtual Boy or some super rare PCFX game, you'll certainly find it. In and around Tokyo, there are also quite some big hard offs, so we went there and we bought a lot of stuff, of course. On this picture, you see some things you've seen before, but I bought around Tokyo a lot of Rockman, Mega Man games, both on the SNES and on the NES, or the Famicom as it's called in Japan, of course. They were around, I think, 10 euros a piece, which is quite cheap. I also bought this twin stick for the Sega Saturn. Last year I already bought the game Virtual On for the Sega Saturn. Also super happy with the Capcom Fight Stick. It's my main controller now on the Super Nintendo. There normally is also a connection to go to the Famicom, but I don't have that one. Also a lot of just random great games for the Super Nintendo and the NES or Famicom. Fight the Firefighters, Super Swift, um, you know, for the Genesis Virtual Racer I bought in Tokyo. You have the Pocket Station right there. The Super Famicom and the three games next to it are for a friend of mine. Sadly, that Super Famicom didn't work. And the Red Hori controller for the N64 is also for a friend of mine. I also got Gargoyle's Quest and Kid Dracula, which are also games I've been looking for a while. So I don't mind that they're in Japanese, I can still play them here. Also, when you go to Japan and you're from Europe, don't forget to buy a power strip so you can hook up many more Japanese consoles at the same time to your power converter and you don't have to switch around it all. So, time to take a break from the video games. I also bought some laser discs in Japan. Laser discs at the moment are super cheap in Japan. You can find them almost at every hard off, and they range from 10 yen to around 100 yen. So that's from 10 cents to 100 cents, which is 1 euro, of course. Some of the big boxes are, of course, a bit more expensive, but I didn't buy any. Why not? Because they weigh way too much. One laser disc is about 300 grams, so you can imagine if you have a suitcase full of laser discs, you will have to pay a lot of extra costs to get on your airplane. All the movies I bought, except for the Godzilla movie, are actually English movies with Japanese subbing, so I can watch them and understand what people are saying. If the movie is older, it's a real possibility. I mean, if the release is older, it's a real possibility that the movie is dubbed in Japanese, so you cannot see it. With newer releases starting from the early 90s, where you had the digital audio track and the original audio track, you often see subbing. Most of these were 10 cents a piece. Some I paid a little bit more, but it was really cheap, but super heavy. I think the most expensive one was that Godzilla one at 150 yen or something. Well, if you're a fan of Laserdiscs, you gotta go to Japan because I saw box sets for Thunderbirds, box sets for Neon Genesis Evangelion. I mean, all these crazy kind of things for 5 to 1,000 yen, and it was amazing. But weight is a problem, and I still prefer video games over Laserdiscs, of course. Speaking of video games, here you can see everything I bought PCFX wise. Here in the Western world, everything PCFX related is pretty expensive. This is not the case in Japan, where most of the stuff is pretty cheap. It's not that common. You won't really find it at bookups of hard offs. You find a little, but not as common as the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 or Sega Saturn. But at video game stores, these games, they don't fetch high prices. There are only 3 games that do, and I bought one of them because it was quite cheap. In the picture, you see everything I got. So from the left to the right, you see the Return to Zork, which is an American game ported to the PCFX, but sadly, you cannot play it in English. Then you have 2 other games like digital comics and dating sims, which are also pretty unplayable if you don't know any Japanese. Then you have Battle Heat, which is full motion video fighting game. You have fans of this and you have haters of this. I'm a bit in the middle. I like it, but it's not that great. Then you have The Last Imperial Prince, which is a side-scrolling action RPG. It's kind of in the vein of the Wonder Boy series, the Monster World series, but bigger world and more RPGs. Then you have another Japanese RPG, and then Cheap Can Kick, which is the platformer style of game. I also bought a second controller, so all the multiplayer games can now be enjoyed by 2 people. In total, I guess I paid €100 for everything you see here on this picture, so maybe 120. Yeah, it will be more around 120. So for the Western world, that's pretty cheap for getting a PC FX. So on this picture, you can see everything I bought disc-based wise or boxed games in Japan. So hopefully we can filter out those Tokyo purchases. In the front, you see Shikihami no Shiro for the original Xbox and Murakumo for the original Xbox. Starfy, the first game in The Nightmare Before Christmas for the Game Boy Advance. I also see the Milestone Shooting Collection, the second one, which includes all of Milestone shooters. Thunder Force 6 and Joaniki for the PlayStation 2. Yoshi's Island for the Super Famicom. As you can see on all my pictures, I bought not a lot of Mega Drive games. That's first of all, of course, because I got already a lot of Mega Drive games, but secondly, they're getting quite rare in Japan. Actually, the games you want to buy, of course. As you can see by the stacks of U-cards and PlayStation 1 games, I got a lot of games there. Gunner's Heaven is probably my favorite purchase for PlayStation 1. It's an awesome side-scrolling action game, and it was released in Europe as Rapid Reload. And I don't know if it was released in the USA. Sorry. Also bought at a hard off is the Neo Geo CD, complete and mint and boxed. It came with 15 games or 14 games, you count them on the picture, and 2 controllers, all the original paperwork and cables, and it was 8,000 yen. It was also sold as junk in the hard off. I don't know how did they decide to mark something as junk or not, because it works perfectly. So yeah, I don't know what's the reasoning behind putting some things in a glass cabinet and other things selling them for junk, while both of them just work. So this is my total amount of purchases. Hope you enjoyed. And oh, I got one more picture for you guys coming. So I want to finish off by giving you guys some tips and tricks to go game hunting in Japan. On this picture you see me and Mike carrying the Neo Geo CD half an hour back to the train station. If you want to find good goodies, you have to go off the beaten track. So don't go to the heart of in the center of Tokyo, but go to the heart of 1 hour outside of Tokyo, half an hour walk from a train station. There you will find some goodies, because other people might be lazy and not go to that hard off or book off. Not all hard offs have good stock, some even don't have any video games at all. But don't let yourself be discouraged by that. Just find all the hard offs, go there and buy whatever you want. A good tool to use is Maps Google. Why? Because you can see a picture of the hard off itself. If it's still there, you can Google it, look it up. Because sometimes in Japan, stores move a lot. There are a lot of new stores, a lot of old stores. So check beforehand that you don't spend time wasting trying to get there. Another tip is to always look good in the junk section. Most of the time it's just horse racing games, dating sims, the 1000th copy of Virtua Fighter 1 for the Sega Saturn, but once in a while you'll find a good game in between that pile of junk and you'll be super happy with it. Also check the glass cabinet. It's not because it's in a glass cabinet that it always has an expensive price. It still might be well below the eBay price
normally going to pay here in Europe. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this new style of episodes, and please like and subscribe and do a thumbs up or whatever what. And I'll see you on the next episode, or I'll hear you, or you'll hear me on the next episode. Bye.